this is just a quick update on the celeriac seedlings. So these are featured in a couple of videos before. First, when I sowed them in a small seed tray, scattered the seed on the surface. Didn't cover them because celeriac needs light ideally to germinate, and then they appeared when I pricked them out and moved them on. So today I'm going to put some in the ground. I've still got the original tray that I sowed, and there's a ton of spares in that. So after I sowed the seed, I kept them misted regularly to keep the surface moist, and germination was really good using that method. So celeriac can be a little bit fussy. In fact, it's a pretty fussy plant altogether, to be honest. It's got a very long growing season. It's one of the first seed really to be started maybe late winter or then very early spring. It's then in the ground for months before it produces anything worth eating. And even in the ground it's fussy. Ideally it wants a position in full sun, but then it doesn't want to dry out. It wants to be continuously moist. So yeah, it's a bit of a fussy plant, and it needs quite a lot of attention to grow well. I'm not going to say whether I will or will not grow it well this year. It depends how much looking after I give it, but it's one of those fussy plants. If you want a good sized root, you've got to put quite a bit of effort in. You've got to give it a rich soil, lots of organic matter in there, plenty of nutrition, plenty of moisture, lots of sun, and so on. So I rather doubt whether it's going to get quite the amount of attention it really wants from me. But anyway, that's what happened to the seedlings that I'd left in the seed tray. Now let me show you the plants. So I'd potted these on into, I think these are 7 centimetre square pots. And these have been growing on very nicely. Now, if I knock one of these out, you can see that there's actually plenty of root, and this really wants to get in the ground. It's not quite pot bound yet, but I think it doesn't want to be in these pots for much more than, I wouldn't leave them in these for another week or so. So I think these are in prime condition to get in the ground. They've got plenty of top growth. They're a nice strong seedling. So today I'm going to get them in. So as ever, I'm a little bit short of space. I've got to be a little bit careful where I put these. So again, I'm planting around the edges of our borders here, because that space is a little bit underutilized. So I've left some space where I planted the onion sets recently. So there's a little bit of space in front of there. I can get one row in along that border. And then the space that I'd reserved for leeks, I think I'll put one row of celeriac along the front of that as well. I think that still leaves me enough space for the amount of leeks that we could sensibly use, so I don't think that's a problem. And this won't really get too much in the way of other planting. So I'm spacing these, well, I'm using my trowel as an indicator, but I'm spacing these, I would say, about 12 inches apart. They could be as close as maybe 8 to 10 inches, or then as far apart as perhaps 18 inches. If you put them too close together, you're going to end up with fairly small roots. Now, as ever, my soil here is a little tricky to dig in because of the amount of stone, but I'm not adding any feed when I'm planting these. This bed had a really thick layer of manure spread on it in the winter, so I think that should be absolutely fine. I've got the start of the onions there, but that's not going to get in the way of the celeriac, so I think this will be absolutely fine. So I've got 2 rows of celeriac along the edges of these beds here. I planted another 8 alongside the patch of onion sets. So that's 25 plants in total. That's more than enough. I do actually have 5 left over, and I'll keep them as spares for a couple of weeks. They'll be fine in those pots, I think, for another couple of weeks, just in case anything happens to go wrong with 1 or 2 of these. It's always nice to have replacements to hand. But I think that is it for the celeriac now. All I need to do is keep that watered, and then later in the year, when they start to bulb up, I can start stripping some of the older outer leaves. But that's all for this video, so thank you very much for watching, and bye for now.